Hello everybody, welcome to Math Mastery. My name is Tanvi Shah and today I am going to teach chapter 13 of class 10th NCERT book, which is statistics. So statistics is an art of collection, organization, presentation, summarization, analyzation and interpretation of data. In this chapter, we are going to cover summarization of data. Measures of central tendency is a way to summarize data in the form of mean, median and mode. What is the use? First is that we have a raw data which gets summarized into a representative value. This value can be used to compare it across different values, different datas, and give economic meaning to that data. Now let me explain you with the help of an example. Following are the number of cars owned by 7 families in Kishangarh. Calculate the mean, median and mode. So you can see that 5, 4, 3 and so on represents the number of cars owned by families in Kishangarh. First, arranging the data in ascending or descending order. I have arranged the data in ascending order. Now I am calculating the mean. What is mean? Mean is the average value, which is in this case is equal to total number of observations divided by sum of observations divided by total number of observations. So you can see that the value comes equal to 2.85, which is approximately 3. So on an average 3 cars are owned by family in Kishangarh. Now what is median? Median is if you arrange data in ascending or descending order, then median is the value which lies in the middle of the series. So in this case, the formula to calculate median is n plus 1 by 2 with observation, which means basically that the observation which lies on this n plus 1 by 2th position. So in this case, what is n? N is equal to 7. So 7 plus 1 divided by 2, which is equal to 8 divided by 2, which is equal to 4. So the observation which lies on the 4th position in this arranged data is 3. So 3 is the median. Again, third measure of central tendency, which is mode. So mode is the basically a value which occurs maximum number of times in a series. So as you can see in this data, the value which is occurring maximum number of times is 5, which is occurring 2 number of times. Rest all the values are occurring 1 number of time. So 5 is the mode. So what do we infer from this? So you see that what we had was a series of data. What we have got is just one measure. Mean is one measure which is equal to 3, and similarly median and mode is just one single value. This value helps to summarize the data. As you can see, 3 value, which is a mean equal to 3, helps us to know that on an average 3 cars are owned by a family in Kishangarh. Similarly, we calculate median and mode. Now, why do we need all these 3 measures of central tendency? Why not only mean or median or mode? Because all of these measures have its own advantage and disadvantage. And all of these have their meaning, specific meaning. Now you see, for example, in case of mean, the outliers are also included. Outliers basically means the extreme observations in the series. So in this series, the observations like 0, 5 are all included in the average, and that has an effect on the value, on the mean value. Whereas in case of median, the only thing which is considered is the middlemost observation. So in this case, the value is equal to 3 and it does not get affected by the outliers. So based on the values and based on the result that we want, we have to calculate sometimes the mean, median or mode for the series, or sometimes all the 3. So I hope this is clear. Now in this chapter, we are going to cover all these 3 measures of central tendency. The data which we will be taking is a frequency distribution data, okay, in the form of data which is in the form of class interval. So first of all, I will be explaining mean. So mean, which is the average value in the series, can be calculated using 3 methods. First is the direct method, second is the assumed mean method, and the third is the step deviation method. All of these 3 methods will give us the same value of the mean. What is the difference is that the assumed mean method is a bit more simpler than direct method to calculate. Similarly, the step deviation is more simpler than the assumed mean method to calculate. So all these three methods are different ways of calculating the same mean. However, the step deviation method is the most simplest out of the three. So let's understand first method, which is direct method. So the formula to calculate mean using direct method is mean is equal to summation xi fi divided by summation fi, where xi are the class marks and fi is the frequency corresponding to the class marks. Let's understand this with the help of an example. The following table represents the score of 30 students of a class in mathematics out of 100 marks. Calculate the mean score. So you are given the class intervals and the number of students corresponding to those class intervals, which is a frequency distribution table. So in this case, how to calculate the mean? Let's see. So first you have to calculate the class marks. Now what is class marks? Class marks is basically the middle value of the class interval. So for example, in the first case, the class marks for this class interval 10 to 25 is 10 plus 25 divided by 2, which is equal to 17.5. Okay, and so on. We have calculated the class marks for all the class intervals. Once you have calculated these class marks, which are called as xi, you have multiplied xi with fi, corresponding frequency. So 17.5 multiplied by 2 is equal to 35. Similarly, you have calculated xi fi for all the class intervals, and then you have summed this using the formula. What is the mean score? Mean score is equal to 1860 divided by 30, which is equal to 62. So on an average score average score of a student in a class of 30 students is 62. Okay, so this is the summarized value out of the total data which we have. So that is the use of a mean. Okay, the second method to calculate the mean is assumed mean method. So in this method, the formula is mean equals to a plus summation di fi divided by summation fi, where a is the assumed mean, di is basically the deviation of xi from the assumed mean. So xi minus a is the di, and xi is the class marks and fi is the frequency corresponding to class mark. Now let's understand this with the help of an example. So you see here, already the example which I have used is the same which I have used in the previous case. The only difference is in the method. So you can see here the class intervals and the number of students are already given to us. First we have calculated the class marks. I will again explain. Class marks is equal to the observation, middlemost observation in the class interval, in the respective class interval. So in the first case, the class mark is 17.5 and so on. Now, in assumed mean method, the second step is to first find out the assumed mean. So out of all the class marks, we choose one as the assumed mean. So we can choose any of the following observations as assumed mean. However, for simplicity of calculations, we generally choose the middle observation as the assumed mean. So as you can see here, the total number of observations are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So out of these 6, the middle observation will be either third or fourth observation, right? I am taking in this example the third observation as the assumed mean. You can also take the fourth observation. So in this case, a is equal to 47.5. Now what we have done, we have calculated di. Di is equal to xi minus a. So xi is the class mark and a is the assumed mean. So 17.5 minus 47.5 is equal to minus 30. Okay. Similarly, 32.5 minus 47.5 is minus 15. And so on, we have calculated di's. Once we have calculated the di's, the next step is to multiply this with the corresponding frequency, with the respective frequency. So minus 30 multiplied by 2 is equal to minus 60. Minus 15 multiplied by 3 is minus 45. And so on, we have calculated fi di. Next step is to add the fi di's. So the sum of these observations is equal to 435. Now we have calculated the mean. So mean is equal to summation fi di divided by summation fi plus a. So you see here, a is 47.5 plus summation fi di is 435 divided by summation fi is 30. So the mean is equal to again 62. Okay, so the value of the mean or the average score of a student in a class of 30 students is same, which is 62. The method to calculate this is a bit different and easier. So with this, I move to the third method of calculating mean. The third method of calculating mean is step deviation method. So in step deviation method, the formula is x bar is equal to a plus h multiplied by summation ui fi divided by summation fi. A represents the assumed mean, h represents the class size. Okay, ui represents the deviation from assumed mean divided by the class size. So ui is equal to xi minus a divided by h. Fi is the frequency corresponding to the class marks and summation fi is the sum total of frequency. So now let's understand this with the help of an example. So you see here the class intervals, this example is same. First we have calculated the class marks for all the class intervals. We have taken one out of these class marks as the assumed mean. I have taken 47.5. We have calculated the deviations from assumed mean, which is xi minus a as we have calculated in the previous method. So till this step, all the steps are same. Now we are dividing this di by h representing the class size. So what is the class size? Class size, the formula to calculate class size is upper limit minus lower limit of a class interval. So 25 minus 10 is equal to 15. So similarly you can see that the class size is same for all the class intervals. For simplicity, we will be covering all the examples with the same class intervals. So here the class size is 15. So dividing di by 15. So minus 30 divided by 15 will be minus 2. Minus 15 divided by 15 will be minus 1. And so on. We have named this as ui. Okay. Now what we have done, we have multiplied ui with the corresponding frequency fi. So ui is minus 2 multiplied by 2, which is minus 4. Similarly, minus 1 multiplied by 3, which is minus 3. And so on, we have calculated fi ui. And we have summed this all the observations. So sum of all the observations fi ui is equal to 29. Now we have used this method to calculate the mean. So the formula is a plus summation fi ui divided by summation fi multiplied by h. Okay, we have substituted the values and the answer which we are getting again is 62. So the final average score of a student in a class is 62. But you can see here that the calculations have become easier by dividing the di by the class size and using this method. So this is a more easier to calculate than as compared to assumed mean method. So I hope all the three methods to calculate mean in case of frequency distribution table are clear. So with this I conclude today's class, and in the next class I will be covering median and mode for a frequency distribution data, and I will be taking one solved example for each median and mode. Thank you.